Fore by Barstool Sports. We are back and we have a lot to get to. We have Ghim on this very show who played in the penultimate group, which is a great golf term, yesterday. We're recording on Sunday at the Players Championship with Justin Thomas. He's young. He's 24. He's been on the show before. That was a little rhyme there. And he's had I would say, he's steadily posting good finishes, better performances this year than last year on the tour. He talks about how he's going through a little bit of a transition. So he's kind of up and coming. Didn't have his best round on Sunday, but we get all into the learning experience, watching JT. There's some very funny tidbits about just kind of how nervous and jittery he was and how different it was than he thought it was going to be. So a lot of good stuff with Ghim. Big thanks to him jumping in. That's about 45 minutes coming up here in a few. And obviously we got a lot to talk about from the players, from an amazing stretch of horrible golf on Sunday to Justin Thomas kind of just stepping up, really start to finish, missing basically no greens. He missed the 18th green by about an inch with a pretty poor wedge shot, but there's a lot to get to. It's Players Championship. Owens. Let me speak about Owens really quickly. So Owens Mixers, our title sponsor. We came up with the transfusion. It's phenomenal. I had a couple yesterday with some friends watching the final round. Everybody had tried it for the first time. They were raving about how good it was. We had a hell of an Owens Mixers experience in Las Vegas, Nevada this past week, which I think was Thursday night, because we have a fucking billboard in Las Vegas. And trying to find a billboard in Vegas may be the most difficult and frustrating experience that I think we've ever had.
Well, right? You also, there's a lot of factors at play with this and it was really an incredible thing that happened. But we were driving around for 45 minutes and then you realize that some of the billboards are the electronic ones and they only flash up certain things for like 5 seconds. So that added, we were already seemingly behind the 8 ball trying to figure out where this goddamn billboard was because we were getting answers from all over the place. They were like, oh, it's right across from the Bellagio. Well, is it on the strip side or is it on the other side? Is it near the highways or is it off the highway? Like we had so many miscommunications about where that goddamn billboard was. And I was telling somebody in the office today about that experience because they were like, that video was so funny that you guys put up. And then I have to convey to people that the video that I took and then tweeted was the very last moment that we were looking for that billboard because we drove around for 45 minutes to an hour. We couldn't find it. And we're getting legitimately frustrated. Like if there was a camera in that car, you would hear actual anger. Lurch is trying to get to the airport, but he's behind the wheel. And then one last billboard, we're like, we'll give it one more shot. It's an electronic billboard. So the chances of us seeing our billboard at the right time is close to none. And at the last goddamn second, it changed. And it's one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm not even kidding.
Not to mention the fact that billboard that we filmed, we had pulled in front of. So there's a massive difference. And, we love Owens. We love everything about him. We love the Mixers. We love the fact that they put a billboard up of us in Vegas. But there's a massive difference between being in Vegas and being where this thing was, right? Like when you're like, oh, we have a billboard in Vegas, you go down the strip, you see you see all the lights, you see the fucking Bellagio, you see Paris, the fucking fountains, and you're like, where's our billboard? Like this fucking massive street, the most famous street in Vegas. So we went up and down that thing, I don't know, 10 times, which takes a long time to go around and come back and go up and go down, going into casinos. We went into the Bellagio at one point and came out it. So we're like, where the fuck is this thing? Then we're getting coordinates. I mean, at one point we drove all the way away from Vegas. We're like, are we just down this alley? Like now we're starting to see a lot of lawyer ones, like all the really big brands are now gone. And this seems more our speed, to the point where we actually pull into a parking lot where we're like, this has to be it. It's a parking lot with weeds growing out of it. It's next to a highway. Yeah, you could see like Vegas in the distance, but this is very much so you'd have to go into this parking lot to see this one billboard. And we sat in front of this thing for what? 6 full minutes, and we just watched ad after ad come up. We're like, this isn't it. This is
we did the wait until you see the same ad over again.
Right.
And so they must go in an order that's like non-standard. Yeah, like random. Exactly. Yeah, because we were sitting there and be like, no, we saw these already, so we drove away. And the whole time, as Trent mentioned, like I'm looking at how much time I have left before my plane leaves. And it's like pouring rain. I'm like, maybe my plane will be delayed, but I want to hang in because I'd love to see this billboard. So let's continue to find it. We're driving around and I'm seeing like, all right, well, I had 2 hours of my flight. Now I have like an hour and a half and I still have to go back to the hotel back. And it's becoming kind of a mess too, where at one point everybody, and it was the last billboard we took a look at, was like, all right, like enough's enough. It's just not here. Like we're in Vegas, but it's probably like on the outskirts of Vegas, like the town line between Vegas and like the next town. Because I mean, it does face a parking, like an empty parking lot.
Dude,
like, yes, the hotels are in the background, but like it doesn't face those hotels.
Yeah, I don't know if
I can't tell how stupid. Like I feel so stupid that we thought it was on the strip once you see where it actually is. Like,
dude. We look back, we were so naive. At one point, we were basically standing in the Bellagio fountains, like, where's our billboard? It's crazy that it's not right here. But like, and honestly, like, it's the billboard where it is and how we found it is very Barstool. Like, it sounds like we're talking shit about a billboard that we have in Vegas, but it's just very Barstool that we initially thought that it was going to be right front and center in the strip. And then we went, like Lurch said, to some parking lot where there's tumbleweeds blowing through it. And then our picture appeared. Like, it's just, like, I wouldn't want it any other way, honestly. Our idea was to go and take a picture in front of this Las Vegas billboard and have it be this glamorous thing. But instead, we got frustrated. We were angry with each other. We had finally given up. We went to one last billboard. And at the last possible second, it flipped to Owen's Mixers and our stupid faces. And we just went crazy. Like, it was honestly perfect.
I don't know if Owen wants to hear this or anyone, but I mean, we said, fuck it. I don't want to see the billboard at this point. We looked so long and hard that we were like, I don't want to find the billboard at this point. 45 real minutes of driving a 1 mile radius is infuriating. Like looking at all these things, making right turns, like pulling into parking lots, reversing, getting coordinates. We were like, we don't want to see the billboard anymore. I hope it's not here. So then we finally passed that one that we sat in front of for like 10 minutes. And we're like, Trent, just fucking film that one. Like, what if it pops up after, like, we had said, fuck it. We were going home. We were on our way home. And Trent just happened to have the fucking camera on there. And it was, oh my God, what a good moment. But yeah, thanks to Owens, because that's one of my favorite moments in Vegas ever.
It was hysterical. I will say, driving with the three of you idiots all getting information from different sources. No, it's near the Bellagio. No, it's near this hotel. No, it's like right over by the top of the liquor store. And then, no, it's across the highway. And then I was like pulling U-turns, and it was just an absolute mess.
We were driving up and down the highway. It was like crazy.
It was
where is this thing?
We also we didn't find out until way late in the process that it was confirmed a digital billboard, which is a complete game changer. Because like all the billboards that you had crossed off the list were now back in play.
Yeah. Right.
What a moment.
It was really good. And I will say, for our experience of driving 45 minutes and just like felt like just wasting time, couldn't find anything, is so fitting for the video and how it was captured. Just like those two things I think work so well together, of us just being pissed off, driving around, and then Trent capturing it in like, if you see it for a split second and then you see just a concrete wall and it's just over. It's just tremendous.
Yeah, it's good. So we love Owen's Mixers. Thank you guys so much. We're, we're very lucky to have such amazing sponsors, and Owens really is that good. It's delicious. I got my cup right here. Actually, I'm just drinking water out of it because it's a Monday morning.
I woke up with a 98% recovery on my Whoop and 104 HRV. I was just ready to tackle the day on Saturday. You want to know how many Owens Mixers I had? I woke up on Sunday with a 2% recovery and a 37 HRV. So that's how you know that. Friday, one of those, Friday night just had to sleep because it was so much travel. And then Saturday I was ready to go, primed to drink Owens Mixers. And I did. I drank my Mixers.
My boy, Frankie.
Yep.
So yeah, big thing. Owens, they got Amazon, they got owensmixers.com, and you can even get it on our store.barstoolsports.com. So big thanks to Owens. Okay. Players Championship, TBC Sawgrass. First thing I'll say is we got a little bit of what we always get. The better than most thing is just the most replayed clip, highlight, call, maybe in the history of sports. As a giant Tiger fan, I think if I see it one more time, I'm going to just kick my television. It's just like they just can't miss. They did do the cool tribute with the flag on 17. They did the same pin location as the better than most putt. So you got that. You got the major debate. If you go on Twitter right now, people are still debating whether the Players Championship is a major or not. I think our guy Brandel is on the hardcore, like it should be changed to a major bandwagon, which is Brandel likes to take sides, and he's arguing based on history and how there actually were 7 majors at one point, and then they've changed all the time. Remember? So you get that debate. Then you obviously get Island Green over and over and over again, which you should, because the Island Green delivers a lot. I thought that this year, especially, I don't remember the Island Green playing that hard. Like we saw so many shots that looked like good golf shots that ended up either in the water. And then also the lag putts all day Sunday, right? So everybody was going left. They had that right pin tucked where it always is. Nobody could get their lag putt within like 8 feet of the cup coming down that hill, which I don't remember that. Like I remember when Tiger won, he lagged it up there to, a couple of feet or a foot and made it. I remember when Martin Keimer won, he made a bomb from down there that was like going in at good speed. And yet yesterday, nobody could get their putts within, like I said, 8-10 feet of the hole. A lot of guys were putting it off the green into that little like fringy area. I know there were Gooch putted it over there, made one from like the fringe. So I thought that the course yesterday, it was shiny. It was playing really, really firm and looked more difficult in terms of the green conditions than I'd ever seen in other years, which I thought was really cool.
Going back to the better than most thing really quickly, the person I feel bad for in that situation is Gary Koch, especially on Saturday, because they always, because on Saturday they obviously had the pin in the same spot, and if a guy had even remotely the same type of putt that Tiger had, the other announcers would give Gary the floor to say something, and I almost wanted him to say like, I already fucking did it. Okay. It was one of the most iconic calls in all sports. Like even at one point, I think it was Siwoo Kim who had a similar putt on Saturday or it was a little shorter and it was all silent and they gave Gary the floor and he just said, oh yeah, that's kind of a mini better than most putt. Like every time someone got on the dance floor with that pin, they expect Gary Koch to make reference to the better than most thing. And he's just like, he just wants to be like, I already did that. Like it was 20 years ago. It's the thing that I'm going to be remembered for the most, but I don't want to have to do it every single time we come back to this tournament and someone puts a ball in sort of the same spot.
And I agree with that, but isn't the 17th green, wasn't it brand new this year? And it was like rock solid. Wasn't there some drainage project that they fixed? Because balls were literally bouncing on that thing and just ripping off to the back and just never even had a chance to stay on. So I think it was playing quite a bit firmer. And to your point, Riggs, like the difference of the tournament was almost JT making that comebacker. Now everything could potentially change, but JT makes his, Lee misses that pretty much same comebacker on 17, buries the birdie obviously on 18, but 17 was playing crazy. And yeah, Trent, I agree. Like it's pathetic how often they're bringing up the better than most. It's like, all right, I get he's in the vicinity, but just let it be another putt.
Yeah, you're about 17, like the only because they show it all day long. The only shot that got close, I feel like, was Brian Harmon, who landed it like in the fucking rough right by that bunker and skipped to like 8 feet or 6 feet or whatever it was. So it was playing a little preposterous. Like I was chatting with Max Oma a little bit, and it was like he was saying it's very noticeable that green, since it's new, is just different than almost all the other greens, which as a player is like, especially when you're as dialed as those guys are, it's got to be very frustrating. And there's literally zero buffer. It's a fucking island. So it's like if you get a bad bounce or it comes in a little firm, your ball's just in the water and you're auto double or higher. And like Morikawa, I believe, said he had a 52 degree and there, landed on the front of the green. He couldn't find his pitch mark with a 52 degree from like one of us. So yeah, that green, it looked crazy. Like it looked a different color. It looked firm. It looked like you couldn't stop it and you really couldn't. So it made a lot of sense, I think, coming down the stretch that everybody hit it left. But then it almost, not unfair, but it was almost like that was exactly what the tournament came down to. You're right, was the one stroke difference of Lee Westwood did what everybody else did and hit his lag putt that went several feet by, and he just missed the comebacker, whereas JT made his, and that was the whole golf tournament. So it was just a different experience, I thought, in 18. Like, go look at when Ricky and like Kiz were playing that thing in 2015 in the final, and they were just throwing dart after dart at that right pin like it wasn't a problem.
And I miss that. Like, I miss the darts being thrown at that. It was like 17. It's amazing that they threw wedges in there. And like when Ricky did that and just kept stepping up and hitting it like a foot every time was crazy. It was so cool to watch like that skill unravel, because in yesterday's tournament and the whole weekend, it was, just put something in the middle of the green and try to 2-putt for par and get out of there. But there were no darts being thrown at those pins because you couldn't. And like Brian Harman almost could have been in that little pot bunker there on 17. He cleared that by like a foot and then, got a bounce and was like, thank God, still on the green, because it was almost a little unfair with how firm that was playing.
It was. And they, that little pot bunker, shout out to the pot bunker cam, because I remember they cut to like John Rahm was in it late in the day and you were like, oh shit, I didn't even realize they had a fucking camera in there. I'd forgotten that they put that camera there.
Right. It was great.
So yeah, it was, 17 was different. Okay, we got to talk about one of the more iconic stretches in golf television history, which was when Brandon Todd cold shanks one on 17, almost onto the mini island with all the flowers, like missed it by a yard. And the whole internet's going crazy because it's like, this is when coverage has started. The leaders are on the first couple holes. And then he gets lucky as hell because they cut over to the fourth hole and Bryson cold tops one with like a 3-wood into the water, like 50 yards in front of the tee box. And then you're like, oh my God. And everybody wants to make fun of Bryson, obviously. Like, he's Bryson. He's got the whole thing. And he's very polarizing and all that. And then Lee Westwood steps up and hits a 100-yard slice maybe into the water on the right. And this, now you're thinking like, okay, in the last 5 minutes, I just saw 3 of the better players in the world. And Todd's won a bunch in the last couple of years, won several tournaments. You got obviously Westwood's now finished solo second, 2 tournaments in a row. Bryson's the U.S. Open champ, just won last week. And these guys are hitting the worst shots in the world. And as an average fan, as any fan, that's what you want to see, because like it makes everyone feel better and remember that golf is fucking impossible.
As a guy who has sliced 70% of the drives in his life, that Lee Westwood thing, I really felt that one. That was, he fucking sliced that thing. And Bryson, a reporter asked him about that shot on 4 after the round. And they said, boy, that probably happens to you pretty rarely. And he dead straight said, I've never done that before. He said, that was the first time I've ever cold topped a drive, which can't be true, but it's just, it was such a fucking Bryson answer. And I wish Brendan Todd's ball had landed on that other green. To my knowledge, that's never happened before. And we'd have to rename that island to like Brendan Todd Island or something. Like that would have been fantastic, but that whole stretch of golf. And then even, wasn't Bryson's second shot fucking off the map too?
Yes.
Yeah, because then he's like, what is happening right now? And it's never his fault, which I'm always like frustrated by. He's always like, oh, the wind got that one, Tim, as he talks to his caddy. And you're like, dude, maybe you just pulled it. Like, you just missed it. Like, he is so frustrated when he goes about, like, the way he goes about it. Because to say he's never cold topped one, it's like, dude, let's not be ridiculous. You've obviously cold topped one before. I apologize, and I'm looking at Frankie because I think he's about to laugh, but I've got to go.
No,
and I appreciate it. And this is my sign-off time. So it's been a pleasure chatting with you. There's more to talk about. It was a hell of a weekend.
I was just laughing at, and see you, Lurch. Thanks for the goodbye.
I figured I'd say goodbye this time.
I was laughing at the fact that, I mean, Lurch is right. It's never Bryson's fault. He has made up this world and this analytical, basically he's able to make excuses every time he hits a bad shot, right? The math was off, the numbers were off, his angle was off, but it's not him doing it. It's like the preparation, the way they attack the ball, everything about getting that club back and through the ball. It was the process's fault, not his. So he's like almost made this like outer body thing to be able to say, oh no, that's the reason why I hit a bad shot. He looks at the clubs, he looks at his caddy, he's like, what just happened? Oh, like what? I don't understand. How did you let that just happen? It's like, Bryson, you just fucking sliced one into a million miles away. I mean, the second shot after he topped one into the water was one of the worst shots I've ever seen in golf history. Like, it was just so far right that the cameras couldn't even show where it was bouncing. They didn't even have cameras to see like where that ball was going.
It was one of those, it was hard to tell where he was. Was he like 100 yards short of the green? Was he 100 yards? Because the camera had no chance. Then he played backwards. And ultimately, after all of that, and some of the, like, he only made double, which is, I don't understand how that's possible. And he finished, what, 2 off the lead? He finished 12 under par for the tournament, tied for third, and only 2 off the lead. So it's like, if he just hit the fairway there and didn't cold top it, like, Bryson maybe wins the golf tournament. Maybe he sticks one in there left and makes it. So to come back and hit the shots that were as bad as he hit, and same with Lee Westwood, to be that off, like, those guys can't be that off. They don't hit shots that are that bad. For them to both hit shots that horrifically, to be doing it at the same time, and they're both looking around like, what are we doing here? And then battle back and both almost win the golf tournament. It was kind of amazing. I think Trent tweeted that, like, at one point when Lee Westwood tied for the lead in the back nine, it was like, wait, Lee Westwood is still in the golf tournament? How did that happen?
Stunning. If you had just been watching his TV coverage and they didn't tell you how he finished out on the holes, what he was scoring that day, if you were just basing it on basically his swings off the tee, I would have said that he was, he would have dropped out of the top 20. Yeah, and then he makes a birdie late in the round, and they're like, Lee Westwood tied for the lead. It's just stunning. You're right. Even, like, say we hit those shots that Bryson and Lee hit on Fore, which if we played Fore, we'd probably hit very similar shots. Like, we make 7, 8s, and 9s. They somehow carve out, I think Lee made a bogey, Bryson made a double. Like, that really is the difference between, well, there's a lot of differences, but that is one of the main differences between guys like them and guys like us, where when a meltdown happens, they keep it on the map. When we go off like that, we make almost double digits. So yeah, I was stunned that Lee Westwood was tied for the lead that late in the round. It was stunning because he did not play well.
If Brennan Todd hits that on that island, he has to. You hit it off the island, right? You have to hit your second shot off there. Like, how do you get out there, or do you take like a unplayable
rowboat?
Well, look, there's a way that they get those flowers out there. So whatever that way is, could get him to that island to hit a golf shot, right?
I wonder what the rule is. Like, if you hit it on a place in which that ball is playable, but there is no way of getting to that place. Like, is that in the rule? Like, oh, that's just like not playable then because you can't get there?
I would say it's probably a hazard. I bet that island's considered in the water hazard.
Which is
penalty
bullshit because it's just grass.
Dude,
didn't some guy on the European Tour take a little rowboat out to an island this year?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
What the fuck's the difference? I mean, come on. Someone needs to hit it on that island. We need to see a 3. Imagine someone goes there and then fucking drains one for a 2.
I would have loved to see it.
I mean, no one's ever hit the island before, so it would be a bit of a waste. But just to have a boat off to the side, like, all the time, like, if you hit it over there, you're going to take this boat over there. And then, like, that would just be, everyone would be waiting for it to happen, and it almost happened with Brendan Todd. And then imagine him just rowing himself out to that little island. Like, that'd be an incredible moment.
You got to think, I mean, amateurs play that all the time, right? So you got to think that there's been balls hit on that island before. I mean,
definitely.
Out of the 4 of us, one of those balls are going on that island, no doubt about it. I mean, Trent, if Trent just pushes that thing out a little, right, with that, like, little buttery slice iron shot he has, that's going on that island all day long. So I would love to know what the official, like, local rule there is if you hit it on there. They definitely don't row you out.
They should just have a boat in general that you can take to the green if you want. Like, instead of walking all the way around, if you could just take a little rowboat up there, that'd be awesome.
We call it the Island Green, but it's a bit of a misnomer. Like, let's like have boats that take you out there. Like, that would be a fun. I mean, people who already hate the 17th green, they call it Mickey Mouse or whatever. Those people would be furious. But
Are people calling it Mickey Mouse golf?
John Huggins called it Mickey Mouse.
Ugh.
Old Hugsy.
Trent showed me that when we were in Vegas. He goes, "Oh, Hugsy's back," and it was just him complaining about the 17th hole.
Hashtag he complained about it. Something about this shouldn't be the venue for, like, something that's basically a major championship when you got the 17 Island Green. Hashtag Mickey Mouse. That guy's the fucking
Wait a minute.
worst.
What does he mean that the golf course is why it's basically a major? Like, if you change the venue, it's no longer the play. Like, what is he talking about?
He's an idiot. He's just over there stewing about the wretched Borelli.
Oh, this golf course, this golf tournament that's always at this golf course shouldn't be at this golf course because it's such a good golf tournament. What are you talking about, you fucking old senile man? Somebody take that guy's password away from him.
It's a miss of a take. Justin Thomas, we got to talk about JT. Clinical. You could kind of tell. So, over the weekend, I think he went 64, 68. He was outside the cut line through, I think, 27 holes through the tournament or somewhere around there, and then just caught fire over the weekend. You could tell early on Sunday that JT was going to be a factor, a serious factor. He gets that swagger going where he kind of like shakes off his shoulders a little bit. He like shimmies his shoulders as he's walking around.
Yes.
And he's just kind of like, you know what I'm talking about? Where he's just, that's him. Like, I'm in the fucking zone, JT, where he's just so locked in. He can hit the ball so pure. And he did. And the juxtaposition when they kept cutting to JT while all these other shots were happening, it was just like, okay, that guy is going to be a problem today. He hit 17 for 17 greens in regulation until the 18th when, again, he missed it by about an inch and had a pretty simple two-putt. He hit some shots. We'll talk about the one on 16 and on 18 that were very reminiscent of, the shot that he was hitting on 16 at Harding Park during the PGA last year. Remember when he was just hitting that fucking low missile screamer driver barely off the ground? It was a cut at 16 at Harding Park, but he was hitting on 16 yesterday at Sawgrass. He just rope drew a driver, I think it was, maybe a through that got like it was only like 40 feet off the ground. It only flew, I think, 234 and rolled 60 yards on the ground out to like 290, 300 yards. That was sick when he did that.
That's just a guy who can do it every once with a golf ball. That really shows the type of day that he's having, that he can just, the tracer on that drive on 16, you just can't beat that. Like you got a guy out there who can just move it left, right, rip it as much as he wants. And then the drive on 18, where he even said afterwards that when it was in the air, he said it was 50-50, whether it was going to be dry or wet. That's just a guy who can move the ball around. And it's really fun to watch when a guy as talented and as good at the game of golf as Justin Thomas is, when he's really on, when he's at the top of his game, because even like on an off day for Justin Thomas, it's still pretty good. Like that's how you become a Justin Thomas of the world. But when he's fucking humming along and he has all the confidence in the world to hit any shot that he wants, that's when it's very fun. And that's how you win against a field at the Players Championship.
And like on 16, he hits that low rope draw that again rolls forever. And then his next shot, he hit a high moon ball cut with like a 5-wood where he took a little bit of yardage off it and like right into the left side of the green, which is exactly where you're supposed to hit it. So like when you have that much control over those different kinds of shots on back-to-back swings on the 16th at Sawgrass, where there's fans, where it's as big a tournament as you're going to play, that was so goddamn sexy. And then he made, a huge putt on 17, like we were speaking about earlier, but everybody's kind of lagging it down there just past the hole, somewhere between 6 and like 10 feet away. And he buried that, poured that putt in, gave a little fist bump. And then that 5-wood that he hit, I think it was the 5-wood on 18. If we hit a shot shape like that we're nervous about, that's because it's like a toe hook that doesn't go anywhere. That went like 315 or something with a 5-wood. He hit it like 350. And he's like, no, I fucking smashed it. I just was a little concerned. I overhooked it a little, but that thing went 300 plus yards. It was a fucking 5-wood. Like, what are we talking about?
It was a missile, absolute missile.
He's so good. He's so fun. He's just so good. He's so fun to watch. Obviously been a weird year for JT in a lot of ways, but to see him get a win, like it was a very cool day.
His outfit looked good. That shirt was like popping. It looked a little tight. He looked a little more muscular than usual. He did have his swagger. You saw him doing a little bit of the ode to Tiger with the fucking follow through 3-point shot, like the fucking balling thing, which is really cool. But yeah, he's got a swagger. He's never going to lose it, I don't think, no matter what happens to this guy. It's just built into him. He's just a fantastic talent. There's no other way to describe it. He has something that other people don't. Yeah, I think he's just gotten a little tighter,
He looks lean. He looks how you want to look.
Yeah, I'm trying to get lean. I've been on the Peloton, so I'm on a 2-day streak right now. So I did one day. Then we went 8 days on a golf trip. Or 9 days on a golf trip, which we did a lot of walking, strenuous strain. My whoop was off the charts. Got back, First day, 30-minute ride. I was screaming to the heavens, the high heavens, because of how hard it is. Let me tell you something about these Peloton these instructors. Like, they're either the strongest people in the world or they just don't do what they're saying they're doing. Like, they're like, all right, we're gonna bump this thing up to like 60 resistance, and they're just fucking like it's nothing, man. They could fucking write an essay. Like, nothing's no problem. They're up, they're back in the saddle. I'm there, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are you shaking your head at?
You're acting like, oh, it's so crazy. There's a big difference between me, piece of shit, and these Peloton instructors who have probably logged thousands upon thousands of hours. Like, it's crazy that they're making this look so easy.
Bro, they don't even wince. I understand obviously I understand that they are extremely fit and they've done thousands and thousands of rides. That's why they are Peloton instructors. My point is that they don't even wince, and they're able to have like full-blown conversations on like very difficult rides. I didn't know the human body would allow anyone of any strength to be able to like run a class and speak while fucking climbing up a fucking 2-mile climb. I just didn't know. Like, never once are they like, fuck. Like never once do they even like cough or like, never. It's just like, all right, guys, it's a great Saturday to have a ride. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
They should have relatable instructors. That should be one of the categories where they're puking, they're coughing just as much as you are, and they're like, this sucks.
Dude, I was like, because I got it for my family, and I was so out of shape on this thing. I was screaming. I'm like, I got to get something to spit in. I was like, can I just spit on the floor or something? I was dying. Legitimately, saliva, sweat, puke.
What was your heart rate? Do you know what your highest heart rate?
Yeah, so the Whoop actually pops right up on the screen. It's sick. So like it comes on the screen. So I was my highest heart rate yesterday was like a 185. 183.
Damn.
But it lets you know, like, so the Whoop is actually extremely integrated into the Peloton, where like it tells you levels of your heart rate. So it tells you like to go to level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and you want to get all 4 levels. And it's kind of based off the strain of the ride. So like you want to get to level 4 when you get to like the 4th, whatever peak of the ride. It's really pretty interesting. But yeah, no, I'm getting my body moving. The more I'm reading too, I do need to do other workouts to get that JT fit, lean, cut look, because I don't feel like being a muscle builder. I don't have the frame. I need to just tighten things up. I want to be able to wear t-shirts again.
Don't put too much on your plate though. Then you'll get overwhelmed and you'll quit.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm reading like, cycling is just not going to get you like the ideal body that you want. It's definitely going to lose a lot of calories. It's going to get your heart rate up. It's going to fucking make you feel a lot healthier. But
you got to lift. You got to mix in a little like weightlifting. Nothing.
Got to do a little bit.
I'd say do the bike for 2 months before you start doing anything else.
I know. I've only logged 3 classes, so right. I know. But
you're already like, how can I be Mr. Universe here?
There is this addictive.
That's good, like you're aggressive.
It's addictive, the like the classes and stuff, and like wanting to go on there and seeing if like the next day it's easier, like because the first 2 days have been impossible. So I'm like, when do I get to that point where it's like, all right, my asshole doesn't hurt from sitting on the seat anymore? I mean, I'm absolutely in pain. I can barely sit here right now.
I got to tell you, my Whoop's at 93% recovery today, and I feel like $1 million.
Dude, I woke up on Saturday after our long travel, and I was a fucking 98 recovery and a 104 HRV, which is just like, usually my HRV is a 50 or 60. Just right. Everything. Dude, I woke up feeling pure, absolutely pure. I fucking hopped on the bike. I took a nice ice cold shower. I was walking around with my chest out, like, holy shit.
Whoop, for everyone out there, reminder, you can get 15% off. Use the code FOREPLAY at checkout. So that's WHOOP.com. Whoop.com, code FOREPLAY at checkout. You're going to get 15% off. You are welcome. But Justin Thomas, who we spoke about a lot, huge Whoop guy. I feel like he was on Whoop before Whoop was even a thing. Yeah. And obviously we integrate it into every conversation that we have because it's awesome. It's just absolutely awesome to know where your body's at.
Mine died the other day and I couldn't find my charger. I couldn't find it. It was very frustrating. But like when you don't have it and it's not tracking you, you feel like you're lost. I felt for like a day, I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to base anything off of. I'm just supposed to trust myself and how I kind of feel or like how I slept. Like once you have it, and we've been wearing it for a year and a half now, and then once you don't have it, the difference is crazy. I cannot believe I ever lived a period of my life without the Whoop and not knowing what was going on. It's crazy.
We've had the Whoop for almost like a year now, it feels like. And the first 11 months of that, I basically just used it as, a wristband. And I used it to track my sleep, and I really thought it was awesome. But now the fact that it's like popping up on screens, I'm working out. My strain was like an average 11 over the last 14 days. Like I'm actually getting numbers up there. When you're using the Whoop the way it's supposed to be used, there is no better piece of technology you can have, because it's on your phone, it's on your workout machines, everything is so integrated. It's such a cool piece of technology. It really is.
I agree. Code foreplay at checkout. Go to whoop.com. You will get yourself 15% off, and it really will help your life. Lee Westwood, I know we talked about him a little bit earlier, but Lee Westwood, 47 years old. He's got the fiance on the bag. So back-to-back solo second place finishes. His putt on the 18th hole made him $500,000 was the difference. And we talk about this with Doug Ghim a pretty good amount. But you just got to give a shout out to Lee Westwood. I think he's year after year, he's become more and more, like you root for him more and more every single year. You almost feel bad for him to a degree. You want him to get that huge tournament. He doesn't have a major. He doesn't have a players championship, even though he's been right there several times. He's got a bunch of wins, especially on the European tour and around the world. And he just came up short. And man, there's nobody in the history of golf, I would say, that appears shakier over a short putt than Lee Westwood. And he putted great. I mean, he was like, I saw he was like fourth in strokes gained putting. They put that up on the stat sheet at one point on Sunday. I don't know where he finished. And he made a lot of clutch par saves. Like he really did, except the one on 17. So the putts were going in, but man, are they just so shaky every single time they cut to him? You're like, oh, there's no way this goes in.
In terms of Lee Westwood, I'm just happy that he's happy. He seems much happier now, even with the second place finish. He was doing his post-round interviews, and he was saying, yeah, like Monday's going to be a great day. I'm going to Augusta with my son. We're gonna do that. That's going to be awesome. Like, I understand that he has never won a big tournament, and that's always going to be the rep until that happens. And if it doesn't, that's too bad. But like, it doesn't seem like it's his whole life anymore. And I know we talked a little bit about it last week when he had a good finish at Bay Hill, but like, he finished second. He made that putt where, he saved or he made himself $500,000 or whatever. Like, he's not devastated right now. He seems like he's in a good headspace. Would he have liked to win yesterday? Obviously, that would have been ideal. But like, his life isn't over now that he didn't win that tournament yesterday. He just has a great attitude. Like, watching him and his fiance go around TPC Sawgrass all weekend, like, they just kept it light. They were smiling the whole time. Even when he'd hit a bad shot, they'd kind of laugh it off. They had him, I don't know if they had him mic'd up, but there's obviously mics around the course that would pick up some of their conversations. They just kept it light the whole time. So I sleep better at night knowing that Lee Westwood is in a good spot. Like, I'm glad he's not just devastated over that second place finish. So if he's happy, I'm happy is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, at some point he's got to just realize that it's just not in the cards. The guy's 47 years old. Like, I'm trying to figure out when we start talking about guys in his position with the tone that you're using there, Trent. Like, I mean, like, we like destroy Ricky Shea shots and all this stuff. Like, and we're like, this guy's never going to win a big one and blah, blah, blah. Like, when's he going to break through? Like, this guy's 47 years old. He's never won. He has 2 PGA Tour wins, but he's the Lee Westwood. Like, at what point do we just like be, oh, he's a laughable guy that doesn't keep him up at night, that he doesn't win anymore. Meanwhile, the other guys are like, he's literally being kept up at night. He thinks about the tournaments every single time he steps up on Sunday. He can't get it done. Is it an age thing? Is there a threshold of losing so much that we feel bad for him, and now we're just happy that he's happy? It's weird.
Probably an age thing. Like, right now, Ricky Fowler is probably getting 2 hours of sleep a night. That would be
shouldn't that hurt Lee Westwood even more that he's 47 and fucking Ricky Fowler has 20 more years to get to him to even win one? Like, shouldn't Lee Westwood be the guy who's fucking ringing the bells in the town, be like, I can't sleep anymore?
Well, it's all about how you approach it. And I think Lee Westwood has chosen to be like, yeah, like, I understand the conversation that surrounds me anytime I'm in contention at a tournament like this, but I'm not going to let that like stress me out and drive me crazy. He's obviously just smiling.
What if he's numb? What if he's numb now?
I mean, he's been through it. I mean, if you've been watching golf for the last 20 years, he's just been through it.
Dude, how about this though? He's got 47 international victories.
Yeah, I mean he's an incredible player. He doesn't play that much like stateside, but he goes all over the world and just wins everywhere.
47 international fucking victories. That is so many victories. Oh, I'm sorry, 42. That's insane.
He doesn't. He's got 25 European Tour wins, which is 8th all time. He's obviously a Ryder Cup like warrior. He's been great in Ryder Cup. So yeah, like Lee Westwood, I think too, Frankie, like the difference is I think that he knows he's already over the hill. So everything's a little bit of a bonus. Like he already went through the phase of accepting that he's not going to win like, X, Y, or Z tournament. Whereas Ricky's like right in the heat of it. And it's like, Ricky needs to fucking do it. And the fact that he's like not going to get into the Masters or even in that conversation is brutal because Ricky's like fucking 30. It's like, dude, this is when you're supposed to win the Masters. Lee Westwood's like, nope, he already missed the boat. So now any boat that comes by, it's a bonus. It's like, oh, fuck yeah, I get to go on a nice little catamaran. Like, that's great because he fucking missed everything for 30 years. So I think he's a little bit more content. He's got a fiance now. So like he's in a different phase. His son's going to Augusta with him, like Trent said. So I think he's just a little bit more like accepting. And I feel like for Ricky, he hasn't accepted it yet. And he doesn't want to ever accept it. And maybe he won't have to accept it, but currently he has to fucking accept it because like
it seems too early for him to have to accept it right now. If he accepts it now and we're having a conversation next year, like, Ricky just looks like he's having a good time out there. I'm glad he's happy. Like that's a problem. 47 is different, much, much different than 30 in golf. So we can't get there with Ricky yet. He's got a couple of decades left before we give him the he gave it his best shot.
Dude, you got to think though, like there's two sides of looking at this. It's either that he's out there for a stroll, Lee Westwood, or the fact that he has not gotten it done for all these years he's been on tour, and now he's fucking leading the golf tournament at the Players, finishes in second, and now you see reports that the girlfriend's off the bag, the son's on the bag at Augusta. Like, This guy may be like, oh my God, you've given me a taste again. I can do this. I mean, does anyone go through more mental turmoil than Lee Westwood if you think about it? Like, he was set sail. He got engaged. He's got the son playing golf. And now it's like you gave me a taste of Sunday leading at the Players at TPC. And all of a sudden I'm fucking cold shanking balls into oblivion. Justin Thomas is fucking draining eagles. And now I'm just second place. Wife's off the bag. Son, get in here. I need to change up. What do you mean? No, you don't think this guy's got a taste again? You don't think this guy's got a taste again? He finished second at Bay Hill and second at TPC. You don't think this guy's tasting victory right now? You've
got him all wrong. I think here's the fucked up thing about Frankie Pirelli is that you want him in the throes of turmoil. You want him to be like, I want him in therapy today. I want him in fucking therapy. I want him in therapy because you know what? He's right there, man. Dude, you somehow turned a second place finish at Bay Hill, a second place finish at the Players, going to play Augusta with his son today into like the worst thing that's ever happened to him. No, it's a question. I'm posing a question. It's devil's advocate. Yes, we can look at Lee Westwood in a way that, like, you know what? He's just there for a stroll, second place finish, $500 extra in his pocket. Thank you very much. He makes $1 million, whatever it is. And I see it as maybe, just maybe, when he goes home, he's throwing things around his fucking house because he's like, 30 fucking years of this shit. I just wanted to win. Like, I was right there. You're saying
it's like, it's just, Frankie, you're in such constant state of mental turmoil that you can't fathom someone else not being in mental turmoil.
I just want to think it matters to these guys as much as it would matter to us. Like, after all those years, building. Lee Westwood just is right. Like, a Players at the age of 47, a Players Championship would have been such a nice cap on this guy's career with 42 international victories. Fucking, he only has 2 on stateside. He doesn't have a major. The Players would have been such a nice, like, you know what, Lee, you fucking had a great career, man. And I'm not saying he hasn't already, but that just would have been like, that Lee Westwood, man, he's one of like the greats of his generation that he actually got it done. Lee Westwood would have etched his name in, like you said, Ryder Cup, fucking President's Cup, all these things. Lee Westwood just, come on, man.
You think everything that's going on right now is like that Seinfeld episode with Serenity Now, where he just keeps saying Serenity Now it seems like it's a good thing, but it actually makes you go fucking crazy.
I don't know the answer, Trent. I wish I did. I wish I knew what was going on in Lee Westwood's head. I'm sure if we talked to him, he'd say that he has the best life in the world because he does. He's a fucking professional golfer. The amount of money he's probably made is insane. He's living a great life with his fiance, his son. He's going to play Augusta. Things are looking up for Lee Westwood. I'm not crying that he made $1 million this week at TPC Sawgrass. I don't think he is either. But at the end of the day, it's a results world. We like to hang trophies up. And this guy is a notorious he's a notorious loser on stateside, right? Like he is he not?
He's fine. And as Riggs alluded to last episode, he's a smoke. He looks great.
He looks fantastic. I'm a Lee Westwood fan. I was rooting for him yesterday. I'm also a JT fan. I was rooting for him yesterday. Basically, I was rooting against everyone except Bryson. But I really, really, really would love to know if when he's walking off 18, he's like, motherfucker, I'd rather just finish fucking T15 and I could just, like you said, take my boat out and just fucking whatever. He's in it. He went to sleep on Saturday night being like, I'm going to win this fucking thing.
Yeah.
It is like if Lee Westwood had won that, and we should mention that Ricky Fowler did win the Players Championship. So it's like he's got that, but he has not won a major, which everyone's going to talk about forever, but until he maybe wins one. But Lee Westwood, if he would have won the Players yesterday, that would have taken over the byline of his like career. Would have been like, oh yeah, Lee Westwood, like he got the Players done at age 47 with the fiance in the back.
Yeah.
Like that's amazingly he got it done. And now they just won't. It'll just be forever that like, oh yeah, Lee Westwood 3 Jack 17 and like came up a shot short. Of course he did. You know, that's kind of going to be the chatter. So yeah, I'm sure that keeps him up at night. Like, of course it does. But I think he's pretty content. Made $1.6 million yesterday. Pretty good. Pretty good.
We should. We've been talking a little bit about Bryson throughout this whole show, but I do want to talk about Rory's comments about Bryson. I feel like that was a big topic of conversation where basically came clean and said, Rory said that Bryson's, we're now in this arms race of distance in golf. And of all people, Rory McIlroy somehow got involved with it, and it got in his head that he needs to be more like Bryson. He needs to make his swing such so there's more speed and he can hit it further. Kind of crazy that of all the people on tour, Rory McIlroy's bought into this, but I bring this up for a couple reasons. And one of them is, and I think we should put this in here, the audio of him answering that question. And I'm not even talking about the actual answer itself, but the beginning of his response where he thinks about the question for 20 seconds. It's a full 20 seconds of him going, nah. And it's a guy, and this is why we love Rory, who is thinking about what he's going to say next, because he knows if he is honest and says that Bryson has influenced his swing to the point where he thinks he's playing worse because he's trying to catch Bryson, he knows that that's going to be the headline for the day and for the next couple of days, and he just goes for it. He says, trying to match Bryson's speed has completely fucked up my swing, and that's the reason that I haven't been playing well recently. Rory's the best. He really is the best in these situations because he could have just said like, I'm just a little off. My swing isn't where I want it to be right now, but I'm trying to work on it. And that's where I'm going to be going forward. But him being straight up about Bryson and how the effect that he is having on other guys on tour, I thought was very, very interesting.
Now it's amazing that the like we give people so many different, like, I'm trying to think of the word, like it's like a longer leash, I guess, with Rory. Like if Rory says that, it's amazingly open and honest, and we understand that that's why his swing sucks. But if Bryson comes out and says like, I played horrible on Sunday because I was trying to achieve a certain swing speed and it just fucked up my whole entire swing. We're like, okay, Bryson, it's the swing speed fault. Like your swing change is the difference right now. Like you just didn't hit the ball. You know what I mean? So it is amazing that like Rory being so honest and open and a regular guy, it does, we are able to understand it a lot more as opposed to a guy like Bryson who talks about all the analytics, the swing, the speed, the launch, the angle, all that stuff. We're like, just fucking hit the golf ball. But when Rory does it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's give this guy some time to figure out a new swing.
Well, Rory's earned that. Everyone knows when he speaks that it's honest. I think he's just had that track record. Bryson, he's a bit of an excuse machine, and we've talked about that. Like when he's at the Masters and he played like shit. When the narrative coming into it was, oh my God, Bryson's going to kill this golf course and just win the green jacket before he even shows up on Thursday. And then he's like, oh, my stomach hurts and I got to get blood work done. Where Rory is just like, yeah, man, he seems very just normal, and he's like, this is what I'm going through, and we all tend to believe it.
Yeah, and I thought Rory's comments too were it came off like he was taking ownership. Like, I fell into the speed trap. I made a dumb decision. I chased the speed situation, which is clearly just alluding to Bryson and what Bryson's done. And I shouldn't have done that, right? Whereas like Bryson, the way that he explains stuff, it always comes off like it was the universe's fault and he had no other choice but to get screwed by the universe. And it's just kind of like, well, so yeah, you're right that like we do give Rory way more the benefit of the doubt, but he has earned that. Like Trent said, he's earned that, and he's always going to get that because of the moments like this. Like, put that audio in, and like Rory genuinely thinking through what he needs to say and not just like giving the reporter some robotic answer is why he will always be one of the most beloved figures in golf outside of his skill level. Is that like he's just candid. Like, that was Rory up there in front of people, legitimately thinking about the honest way to answer the question. And that goes a long way.
So I was watching Golf Channel, and most of the people were on the side of like, why would a guy like Rory McIlroy be doing this? He hits the ball a mile. He already hits the ball a mile. He needs to focus on other aspects of his game. Like, he shouldn't be chasing Bryson. There's no reason for him to do that when he already hits it, 300 plus on average. But then the flip side of that isn't Rory in the best position to match Bryson? Like, if he's already got all this distance that he can hit, if he just does a couple things a little bit different, then he is able to hit it just as far as Bryson. And what they're trying to do essentially is what he did at Winged Foot, where you don't have to keep it on the map necessarily. If you hit it in the rough, that's fine, but it just depends on what club you have in your hand when you're in that rough. And I think that's what Rory's main takeaway from watching Bryson at Winged Foot was like, I want to have those shots in as opposed to the one that I'm having. So I can kind of see where he's coming from, where, yeah, he does have all this distance off the tee already. So the initial response, he would think like, why would he want to chase Bryson? But the flip side is he just needs a little bit more, and he's there with Bryson. So I wasn't as like crazy shocked and stunned that I guess Bryson or that Rory was trying this, because he just needs a little bit more, and he's there right there with Bryson.
Nobody gets Trent going more than Rory. You're so concise, articulate, like the way that you're describing like his aspect and his approach to the game right now. I've never heard you talk about anyone like this in my entire life. Like, Rory gets you going.
Well,
like,
Rory,
do you have a hard on right
roots
now?
For him in the Ryder Cup. Trent roots for him in the Ryder Cup.
That's not true.
Is your cock hard right now? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. You're waistbanding it, dude. I've never in my life.
I just love the guy, and I understand when he talks. He seems like a real person. There's few and far between on the PGA Tour or in sports in general where you look at a guy and think that's a real person and they're saying real things. Rory is one of the guys who I look at and it's like, when he speaks, it feels like it's coming from a real place. Everybody now is media trained and they just like, they don't say anything. They say words, but they don't fucking say anything. Rory, when he talks, I'm like, that's a guy who is actually speaking in a way that makes a lot of sense.
He did this with the distance report, but he's the kind of guy that's like, this is going to get me in trouble, and then he goes on and says what he's about to say. You know what I mean? Like, he has the balls and he has the knowledge and the pedigree and everyone knows about Rory's like background in the game and how big his fan base is, that they actually respect what he says. And even if he does get in trouble, it really doesn't get him in trouble. I mean, at the end of the day, who's really calling Rory being like, you shouldn't have said that? They probably all respect what he says,
No, and that's why I thought that first 20 seconds after the reporter asked the questions was so interesting, because he's clear. In real time, he's weighing the options of what he's going to say next, because he knows as soon as he says something about Bryson, it's going to be the number one story on Golf Channel. It's going to be the number one story in golf Twitter. Like, he just knows that, but he was honest in it. But it was like, it's an interesting peek into his psyche.
Lee Westwood looked great all week, as we have alluded to, and it's not kind of a coincidence that he's rocking Peter Millar. He looks really good in Peter Millar the entire week. I've got this Peter Millar hoodie on right now that they sent me. But the Perth, we've talked a lot about the Perth, is a Peter Millar icon. It's in the rafters.
Frankie's showing off his ass right now.
Frankie's got boxers on. Peter Millar boxers on. I'm looking at his ass. It looks nice. Yeah, he's smacking himself.
Look at these boxers are unreal. I've talked about how I'm a specific only one boxer brief person now. We have another company that sends us this stuff, but Peter Millar has gotten into the boxer game, which I didn't know that they were in. And let me tell you something, it stacks up. They have their chips at the table and they could win the hand. Like, it's just as good. I don't know where they get this material from, but they're digging in the same holes as the other guys. And it's some good stuff. I feel good. I feel real good right now.
The Crown Comfort quarter zip pullover, another phenomenal item made from soft, breathable cotton, generous fit for those extra holiday LBs put on. That might have been a shot at some people on this show,
dude,
at all of us on this show.
I look so fat in this room right now. It's crazy.
Or for layering for cooler weather on the course. Either way, the Crown Comfort quarter zip keeps you very warm. We were playing cold golf in Vegas, and the Crown quarter zip, it just keeps you warm. It's what you need out there to layer up. So do yourself a favor. Go to petermillar.com/4. You can see a lot of the items that we like. We have a curated little website there. Again, that's got a lot of the items. Their pants, the EB66 5-pocket pants are fantastic.
Dude, the hoodie
pants are fantastic.
The hoodie you're wearing right now, that thing is insane. I was so pissed when I saw that you got that. It's that little quarter zip hoodie, but it's got like the rain gear feel to it, so you can wear it in the cold, you can wear it in the rain. It's a fantastic looking hoodie.
They just make great stuff. So again, go to petermillar.com/4. Check out a lot of the gear that we love. Big thanks to Peter Millar. And again, Lee Westwood looked awesome and always does now because he's in Peter Millar. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Next up, we've got Doug Ghim.
Wait, real quick, I want to talk about Colin Morikawa hitting up on Sabbatini. That was a very funny moment when the microphones picked up on that. I mean, it ended up getting taken down from Twitter. I'm assuming because everything was picked up on there. I mean, the way that it's just the best back and forth I've ever heard on just like, these guys had no clue that they were mic'd up. Morikawa is saying like, who is that up there? Is that Sabbatini? Like, God damn, I cannot believe of all the people to hit up on that Sabbatini, because I guess Sabbatini has like the shortest fuse on tour, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Spieth was like, what did he say? There was a lot of great quotes from that moment. And I think Daniel Rappaport tweeted it that the tour had sent out a text on Wednesday night being like, hey, there's cameras and mics on every tee box. So just be conscious of what you say, clearly to try and avoid a moment like this. But Spieth and Morikawa going back and forth about hitting into Sabbatini, and Spieth being like, because they watched Sabatini's next shot after they hit into him, and he hit a horrible shot. And Spieth was like, oh, yeah, I'm the reason he hit that bad shot.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Morikawa. Because then I think Morikawa or Spieth were like, come on, please hit a good one. And it kind of got cut off by the bad shot. He's like, hit a good one. Nope. And then Spieth's like, yeah, buddy, I'm the reason why you hit a bad shot. Because, dude, Sabbatini just like pulls one out of the rough and looks back again and gives him like a, wah!
And
like, all right, dude.
Spieth was like, luckily, I'm one of the few guys out here that he likes.
Yeah, so it was very, very funny.
That little inside peek was as good as it gets, and I'm not surprised it got taken down. But whatever, at least we got to see it once.
Really,
just those candid conversations, man. Just like that stuff. Knowing that shit goes on all the time, and it's just not mic'd up. It's nice to know it's just normal people having funny conversations that we would have every. Like, oh yeah, bro, that's why you hit that shot, because like you didn't hit that golf shot because of you. That was because I hit a shot 5 minutes ago that almost hit you. Like, relax.
And it flew under the radar a little bit, not really, but the end of the video is Morikawa talking about how like he thinks Sabbatini has a crush on his girlfriend.
Yeah, he did. He's like, I think he's got a thing for my girl. It's just so funny, man. That was the best part.
The whole thing. So good.
That was good.
I mean, the ball almost killed him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Hit a fucking tree, came in at a side angle, almost took him out right in the neck.
Oh, and one other thing, things keep popping into my head. Dustin Johnson, too good at the game of golf now. He has simply reached such a level where he hit it so close to the pin that he hit the pin on 17 and went to the water. He's just too good now. He's too consistent.
So dialed in.
He's got to do what Tiger used to do. Tiger used to aim like a yard right of the pin so he wouldn't hit the pin.
It's insane.
Think about that.
I was saying like that. We don't have to worry about that. Like, yeah, he's the number one player in the world, but I don't have to worry about hitting it off the pin and it rolling into the water. It couldn't be me.
Under no circumstances would we have to worry about that. All right. Doug Ghim's up next. Again, he had a great week. He was in the second to last group, played with JT. Didn't have the Sunday that he wanted to have, but he's still in great spirits. He talks all about the learning experience and going down for the Honda this week and much more. So listen, enjoy this chat with our friend Doug Ghim. All right, folks, we're joined, I think for the second time. Great clap from Trent right there, so everybody's kind of fired up. But we're joined for the second time by our very good friend Doug Ghim, who's been a friend of the program. I first met him sitting fucking middle seat last year on a flight from Miami to Bermuda, and I was like, this guy Doug Ghim, and then played great that week. Been playing well ever since. You've got several top, good finishes this year, including I believe you had top 5 at the American Express. Final, second to last group this past weekend at the Players. Played with JT, had a really good week overall. Now we're getting such a raw look because you and your boy Luke are just packed car driving from Jacksonville down to the Honda. So how are we feeling?
Feeling good. The last 2 weeks have been pretty difficult as far as how hard the courses were. So it's kind of nice to decompress and just kind of chill on this ride to Honda.
I feel like you like tough courses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you get a tough course like the last 2 weeks, it kind of favors the person that drives the ball well and hits a lot of greens, and that's kind of the name of my game. And I don't make a lot of bogeys, although there were some colorful colors in my scorecard yesterday. But usually the amount of birdies I make is close to how many under par I am for the tournament. So, and that bodes the same no matter how difficult the course is. And when that's the case, it's easier to make a run up the hitter.
Let's talk about tomorrow because it's about as big a golf tournament as you can have. You finished runner up the U.S. Amateur, really did everything to win the damn tournament, and you just got a little bit unlucky in last minute. You're low amateur at the Masters. You won the big Ben Hogan Award, so clearly you've been in big positions before. Did yesterday feel a lot different than anything else that you've been in?
I mean, it was like taking everything that I've ever experienced, the most nervous I've ever been, including the Masters, including the Walker Cup, the USM. It was like that times like a billion. I don't know how to explain it. You really, really can't prepare yourself for that because you've never really felt that before. And and you're really exposed. I mean, the fans are back, and it's an amazing experience. You're out there, you're playing with a player that you've looked up to pretty much your whole career, and kind of just like always trying to compare yourself from when they were your age and they're really working hard, and all of a sudden you're there and you're playing next to him and you're watching him win the tournament. I mean, it was obviously it stung like hell while I was experiencing it because I wanted to do well and I knew that I was capable, and I didn't feel like I did what I know what I could do. But at the same time, to watch him win that tournament and watch it, I mean, it's just as a competitor, as an opponent, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done, and it's definitely something that I would never trade for. I mean, obviously, I would love to have done better, but at the end of the day, to get to experience that and experience the pain too, it's only more fuel to the fire when I get that opportunity next time.
Yeah, it's interesting in that, like, I feel like a lot of, me, I text you all the time, like, you're going to win. I have no doubt. And it's like, you're going to keep moving up. But I feel like now we're in the moment where people will talk about, like, when you do break through, win, be like, yeah, he had that learning experience at, the Players when he was in the final group. Like, I know we're so closely moved. It's not even been 24 hours since the tournament finished up, but do you feel like you learned a lot from yesterday?
Absolutely. I mean, it was so cool just to be there in that moment. I mean, like, again, you think, like, the night before, I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. I got nothing to lose. It'll be difficult, whatever, right? Like, it doesn't matter if I win or lose, but, like, all that goes out the window as soon as you tee the ball up and you see all the people down there, and you're shaking hands with JT on the first tee box, and you're like, wow, like, there's no hiding. You're exposed, and like, yeah, everything feels different, and it's a different atmosphere. And like, I haven't had that many opportunities where I was really in kind of the line of fire going into a final round, and to be there at the Players Championship and one of my first experiences doing that was pretty insane. It wasn't like, you know, a regular tournament. I wasn't even in that many positions like that on the Corn Ferry Tour. So when you put yourself in a position like that, one of the biggest tournaments of the year against arguably the strongest field of the year, and playing with the number 3 player in the world, Justin Thomas, it was like, okay, like, this is the experience you always wanted. So like, regardless of what happens today, you're gonna learn from it. And I think one of the most positive things from it too was just the fact that how much it stung. I don't think I realized how badly I wanted to win until I walked off the 18th green and saw him celebrate with his family, and realized like that's something that I want, right? And like, void of money or fame, it's just like the idea of the feeling of accomplishment, beating the best players in the world, and even gaining respect. I mean, I know I didn't have a good day yesterday, and I so badly wanted to make a good first impression with Justin Thomas, because obviously he's someone I look up to. But like, walking off the green and even him telling me that he thought I was a great player and that I was going to be around for a long time and that he looked forward to playing against me again was enough to get me going, and enough to wake up this morning knowing that I did something pretty cool this week.
You mentioned world rankings, and I was just looking at the rankings. You moved from 257 to 238. You mentioned over the weekend that you were 257. Like, don't let Doug Ghim get hot. You moved up 19 spots. You're coming for that number 3 spot in Justin Thomas. I can feel it.
Yeah,
We're losing you, Doug.
No big deal. We got some of the best quotes ever from a PGA Tour player, and it came through fucking like it sounded like it was coming through a microphone going through a toaster, and now we're back with you with picture perfect clear
Awesome.
audio. That's the foreplay difference right there. The absolute foreplay difference. You're like, you know, I've never been in a position like that. I can't believe I was there. Justin Thomas told me, and it was just like, you couldn't even hear a fucking thing. But we're gonna keep it because that's the foreplay difference. I just want to let you know that I just can't believe how good your audio sounds right now. Because when you were saying those things, I had the chills. I mean, like, listening to someone break down how they were feeling on the 18th fairway and walking off the 18th green, and not knowing how much they cared about it. I mean, we could write a book. Like, let's start fucking writing the script right now. That's a movie. And then you're going to come back, you're going to win it. Like, if Doug Ghim comes back and wins the Players Championship and beats Justin Thomas or something, this moment right here was the building blocks. Like, we're building something here, Doug. We're fucking building.
All right. I think we're back.
I think the last thing we heard from him was when I said, we've got building blocks. We're building right now. And then you went on some sort of incredible rant that we didn't hear a word of. So if you wanted to go back and just retouch on all of that.
Of course. I mean, dude, like, I'm 24 years old. This is basically my first full year on the PGA Tour. And, you know, I didn't start golf dreaming to only win one tournament and have one battle with JT, you know, and knowing that JT is also young, and I'll get the opportunity to play against him and the likes of others like Spieth and Dustin Johnson and have my fair share of battles with them in big tournaments is something that is in the back of my mind and something that will motivate me to get better and put myself in this position again. I mean, you know, for it to happen once is one thing, but to be in the fire 2 weeks in a row is another. And I feel like I'm starting to develop into the player that I know that I can be. And I mean, I'm just so excited to kind of start breaking through and getting these opportunities and exposing myself to even more challenging task. I mean, to play TPC Sawgrass against JT and Bryson, it's just like, it's amazing.
When you showed up yesterday, Sunday, to the final round, did anything feel different during warm-up, or was it not until kind of you said, like, shaking hands on the first tee that you were like, okay, this is different?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely different the whole day. You know, you're trying not to think about it too much, and you're trying to kind of downplay it. And I think, if anything, if there was a mistake that I made, it was the fact that I kind of tried to treat it too much like a normal day. And at the end of it, like, it probably would have been better off just understanding that it is different. It's gonna be different, and it's gonna be harder. It's gonna be way more amped than any round I've ever played in my life. And like, yeah, your palms are sweating a little bit more. You're a little bit more jittery, and then you get on the tee, and it's like that times a billion. So like, you're up there, and like, I mean, for the first time in my career, people are chanting my name. They're chanting JT's name. I'm like, I never gotten that big of a cheer just walking on the first tee before. I hadn't even done anything. I'm like drinking a bottle of water, and they're like cheering for me. So like, it was a pretty crazy experience. I mean, at the same time, it's like an eerie feeling because you're like being watched in every move. I never felt so like, you know, under the microscope, like trying to drink a bottle of water before. It's like, am I doing it right? Do I look weird doing this? Like, I'm sitting there like, I hope I don't look like I'm nervous, because I am nervous as hell. So, you know, it's just all those things that are racing through your mind for like the first time. It was kind of like getting ready to play the first round of the Masters, right? It's like, it's just wanting to do well that makes it the most nerve-wracking of all. And I think, again, the more I can put myself in that position, the easier and easier it'll get, for sure.
Were you telling yourself not to pick your nose? Were you consciously thinking, I should not pick my nose today because everyone will see it?
No, not necessarily. But it was just like, do I normally drink with the bottle of my left hand or right hand? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm just in there. Like, it took me a while. So, like, some of the Nike gloves come in like a little Ziploc bag, and I'm like in there, and I'm like struggling to open the Ziploc bag, and I feel like they're probably laughing at me because they think I'm nervous or something. And it just feels like everything you do is just like under the microscope, and it's pretty funny. Like, you know, just everything feels different. It took me a while to just get the coin out of my pocket on the first hole to put behind my ball. And yeah, I mean, just little things like that. Trying to even write the score on my scorecard, like some of the fours on at least my strip of the scorecard. I know that Justin always had a chance to win, so I'm trying to put perfect handwriting into the boxes on his end. But the little tear off part, I'm like shaking like crazy, like drawing zigzag fours. I'm like, whatever, that's good enough. But it was definitely a more amped up position to be in, for sure.
That
I mean,
is
where do the nerves stop, like to the point where you can even hit the golf ball, right? Like if you're struggling to write fours and threes and write on the scorecard and open up Ziploc bags, like how are you putting a good swing on the ball? Is it just stop there? Like once you address the ball, are you back into your normal state, or like I can't even fathom how you stop that.
I mean, it's the nerves never stop. You're in there, and I think as a young player, I mean, as a kid watching it on TV, and you can very easily see who's experienced and who's not, right? And you can see just by and yeah, I never felt comfortable until I made quad, and then I was like, well, I need to get back into the tournament somehow and finish well. And it was like, well, that happened, so we might as well fight back. And like, there's nothing to lose at that point in time, especially. So for me, the nerves ended there because I was no longer in the tournament as far as winning it, and I was just there to try to have a high finish and leave the place with some pride. But yeah, you're in there and you're trying your best. You're trying to use all of the experience you've had to kind of relax as much as you can. But I mean, again, if you're not in that position before, it's really, really difficult to try to prepare yourself and try to like predict what it'll feel like. And like, it was nothing. I can't say it's not something that I've never done before, but it was just like never to that magnitude, you know, and to experience it at that magnitude was really, really cool. And I'm really, really glad that I struggled and that there were people there to kind of make that experience even more whole. I mean, without people, it might have been easier, but with people, it's definitely a surreal experience.
Yeah, do you think having fans back makes it more nerve-wracking and tougher out there than it was, for the last year or so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's more difficult or less difficult, but I will say it's definitely probably different. Like, I remember thinking back when we were watching the Masters last fall and trying to, like, kind of put myself in the shoes of the players that are playing for the first time and who's never played in a Masters before without fans. And it's like, it's not the same, because what makes the Masters great is, like, the patrons. And, like, when someone makes eagle on 13 or 15, you know that it's an eagle, and then you know who it is based off who made the eagle. Jordan's roars are a lot louder than some others, and Tiger's roars are obviously way bigger than anybody else's. So, like, just to be around that, and, like, you can hear 17 stadium from everywhere on the golf course yesterday, and you can tell if someone hit in the water or if somebody made a birdie on 17. So, like, it's definitely a more complete experience when you have people around, because that's what you dream of, and that's what gets you going, and that's what you work hard for. And to have the opportunity or the honor of people chanting your name while you're walking down the fairway is definitely something that all players love at the end of the day, and just getting to experience that and getting more experience in that situation is definitely going to be a lot more fun eventually in time.
Was there much chatter at all with JT? I mean, I know it was an interesting round. As much as we've talked about, like, you didn't have your best day. There are a couple holes added up, but for the first 5 or 6 holes, even though you're hitting it not as well as you would have loved, like, you're still in the you're making pars. You're right there. The guys behind you were melting down. Bryson and Lee Westwood, like, hit it all over the place on 4. Was there much chatter between you and JT throughout that and just kind of throughout the day at all?
I mean, he was pretty much blinders down. He kind of did his own thing, stayed in his own little universe. And, I think there's a lot to be said. I mean, I think when I come away from learning with what JT did, it was understanding, like, it was crazy to watch him go through his process throughout the day. Like, I wasn't unnerved, because I kind of expected that he would be in a zone and that he would be super focused. But, obviously for me, like, when I'm playing stroke play, when I'm playing in tournaments, like, if I'm not really in the thick of it, like, we're just, like, out there and having fun and enjoying ourselves out there and focused, right, and playing really well. And it's obviously even more fun if you play well. But to see that and to see how competitive he is, it was very quiet out there. He didn't really, his caddy talked to me more than JT did. And so, it was definitely impressive to watch. And it's something that I'll learn. I mean, like, for me, like, when I played in the USAM, when I played in match play, I was known for being pretty cold too, and not talking a lot, because all I wanted to do was win the match and get out of there in as least amount of holes as possible and win as fast as possible. And I got the same vibe from JT. It was just like, he's in there and he's just trying to win. He needs to win, and he's putting all his energy into winning, because it's such a nerve-wracking experience. And to see him deal with nerves, it wasn't even like he was, like, just super calm and like so stoic or anything like that. It was like, no, he's just like he's a really, really, really good player, obviously world class, but, like, you could still see that it's a very amped up situation, and he was dealing with it, and he was just, like, kind of embracing it, instead of me over here just trying to, like, treat it like any other round. It was like his mentality was kind of like, no, this is a big moment. This is different than the first 3 days. This is not just any other tournament. And like, he's ready for it, and he kind of embraced it better than I did. And obviously that comes with experience. He's a major champion. And I mean, yeah, there was not much chatter. I mean, I wanted to talk to him. He's definitely someone that I look up to, but obviously he's in there doing a job. And, you know, obviously with a couple of bad holes, I just ended up being kind of a spectator to the side.
Did you find yourself rooting for it? Like when his ball on 18, when it was hooking a little more than he wanted, like were you like leaning for it to stay and play, or were like, because I just feel like when you're watching somebody play like that and you're with them the whole day, my natural instinct would be to like root for him a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of my favorite players to watch on tour. I mean, again, he's someone that I've always looked up to, and it was so cool. And like, especially when you're having a bad day like that, you want to come away with something that's like, you know, unforgettable. And obviously getting to watch him actually win the tournament is like something that I go to bed at night thinking about and trying to empathize and put myself in his shoes and see what that would feel like. I mean, I got to sit next to Patrick Reed at Butler Cabin when he won, and I got to feel what that like ambiance was like, the environment, and how excited he was. But to actually watch all 68 of his shots yesterday and see how he did it, and to realize that he honestly just played really solid, right? It was pretty much my round the day before, but on Sunday with all those nerves. And so realizing that if I could just figure out how to get more comfortable, that I could do that and watch it happen and actually get to experience what it feels like to be on the 18th green and be a part. And the fact that like, just like the little thing of like signing the scorecard of the winner of the Players Championship is like, my signature was forever on that card that he won with. So like, that's pretty amazing to think about. And like, again, it's just like a lot of motivation moving forward. It's just like very inspiring stuff.
It's very interesting to hear you talk about realizing like, oh, JT could win, and like my penmanship on this scorecard better be pretty dialed in, because that scorecard is gonna be some places.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want some like chicken scratch on a piece of history, you know? It's like, no, like I'm gonna put some thought and effort into this. Especially after I made 8, it's like I'm glad I don't have to put 8. Sometimes you accidentally put your own score on somebody's card and flip it onto your little, you know, meaningless strip on top of the card. And how terrible would it have been if I put an 8 there and had to scratch it out and be like, oh no, you made 4 there. You know? And so you're sitting there like, I can't mess this up. He has a chance to win this tournament, and I would hate for it to be framed with like a Sharpie mark just scratching out an 8. It's like, no. He had a birdie putt there.
No, man, he had way less shots there. So it's definitely it's different. It's just like, these are the little things, right? Like the water bottle, the scorecard, the stuff that it's very cool to hear about, because, you know, on TV, it's like you see the golf shots, and once someone's like not in contention, they just sort of fade, and you forget that like you're there for the whole thing. You're out there hitting all of the shots. You're playing all of the holes. You're right next to everything that's going on. And I think too, it's cool to hear, you know, like you said, that there's almost like a confidence booster in that what you saw Sunday from JT, like, you know, you have yourself. You did it the day before. You know, you go 71, 67, 68 on the exact same golf course that he did it under, you know, pretty intense pressure, just not quite Sunday pressure. So I do, you know, I feel like I could see how you'd have confidence knowing like, no, that round that he posted, like 68, I did that. I can absolutely do that. I just need to figure out a way to do it on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I guess that was the most uplifting thing about it all. It was just like knowing that, like watching it happen, it was nothing really out of, like, I won't say out of the ordinary, right? If it's not the right word, because obviously playing that well on that difficult of a golf course is special, and it's really hard to do. But again, it's like the top players in the world. And if you think that you want to be a top player in the world, that is like the expectation, and that is the level of normalcy that you need to have to win the tournament, and to understand that you don't really need to do like crazy and wondrous things. You just have to play really solid and give yourself enough chances and try to capitalize when you do have the opportunities for birdie or for eagle. And if you're opportunistic and capitalize on those opportunities, that's the day you win. And JT did those things, and he made some mistakes too. He 3-putted twice, and I was shocked, but he kind of held it together and really dug down deep, made some really good pars, and then birdied 16, and had 2 great 2-putts on 17 and 18, and to see that happen, it was just cool. It was just solid stuff, and then again, it's just stuff that I know I'm capable of, and we'll go back down to the drawing board and see how I could go and do that, because that's definitely something that I pride myself as being able to do that.
One of the big storylines, especially yesterday, was like the purses and the money. A lot of people talking about how JT's caddy was like checking the money list after he's walking out of the scoring room, and Bryson lipping out on 18 to lose $405,000 or $450,000. Is that something that you guys you're so young, so it probably doesn't matter, but like, are you thinking about that with every single shot coming down towards the end? Like, where are we going to finish? Like this, even if you make an 8 throughout the day, like, all right, let's just like keep it going so we can get a little bit higher on the leaderboard and make more money. Like, is that something you're thinking about or no?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's our job, right? So like, we're in there, and like everyone's like, even at the start of the week, it's like, if I can just make the cut, I know I'm getting like basically double as I would normally in a normal tournament. So it's like, if I could, I think like last place money for people who make the cut is like it's probably around 30K. So like, you're in there, it's like, if I finish middle of the pack, that's like 100K right there, right? So like, you're in there and you're grinding your butt off, and obviously every stroke is important, and like the FedEx Cup points is important as well. World ranking points are up for grabs. It's basically considered a major. So like, you're in there and you're trying to accumulate as many points as possible, and as much money as possible. But I mean, it's not the main motivator, obviously. Obviously when shit hits the fan and you make an 8, then like the main motivator at that point is like, okay, like if I shoot 3 under in the back, I could still, that's like, it could be like 150K, at the end of the day. So it's like, well, I sweat on the $5 hammer game when I have a 15-footer, and I have to accept the hammer. So it's like, why wouldn't I go out here and try to win some money on this back nine? Of course.
To me, that's like such a motivator, even if you're playing poorly, right? Like if you're in one of those final groups on Sunday, you have a bad start in the front 9, like that back 9 becomes just as competitive as the front, because it's like, let's make some cash back. Like every single spot you move up is a significantly more amount of money, especially in the players. So that's such a cool thing that like I feel like the average fan just watching golf doesn't understand, and why we should see some of these guys, and especially on the screen, we should see what they're putting for on 18 and 17. Like they should have these counters up there. Like, all right, this putt is for like an extra $35,000. How intense would that be? Us just sitting there watching you guys like grind over putts, even though you're fucking 6 over. Like, all right, this is a fucking $35,000 putt right now. That would be so unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it probably didn't show in the broadcast, but when JT made his eagle putt 11, he did that putter swing. And he just grabbed the lead, and like I actually had a pretty salty up and down, I must say, from the left rough. It was pretty screwed over there, but I somehow got into like bump and run, hit like this hybrid flop shot bump and run shot just to get to like 12 feet, and I made it, and I did my own version of it just to kind of make fun of myself, because like I'm in here just trying to like somehow backdoor this top 10 after making 8, and I'm trying to get myself fired up. And I finally make a putt for birdie. I'm like, okay, right? Like 3 more birdies, we're right there in the top 10. And top 10 is like anywhere from 200 to 300K for the week, or 400K, I guess, Luke is telling me. So it's like you're in there and you're just grinding your butt off, seeing if you can make a run for that money, because you're like, dang, that's like, I mean, that's more money than most people can dream of making in a week, especially. So you're sitting there like, okay, we have a special chance to do this. It's like a tournament within the tournament. And like also at the end of the day too, it's like FedEx Cup points are up for grabs. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to make it into East Lake, every point really does count. And if you want to talk about money, if you make it to East Lake, obviously every point counts like crazy. So there's just always something to play for, no matter where you are.
Yeah, I think I saw that Westy's putt on 18, his birdie putt, ended up making him $500,000 more because that puppy went in instead of being a split. I think it would have been a three-way split for second. He ends up solo second, and that made him $500K more for like a little 15-foot birdie putt on 18.
Yep. It's crazy to think about. And like, I mean, it's easy to feel like you have something to lose when you're up there. But I mean, again, it's not like they give you the money and then you miss the putt and then they take it back away from you. So when you're in there, especially in a situation like that where you have that birdie putt, it's like you're in there thinking like, I have everything to gain to make this putt. And I'm sure Lee Westwood at that point is like, well, if I'm going to lose this tournament, I might as well make $500K more than I would have losing the tournament. So he's very thrilled.
There's a very good idea. Have the stack of money like the World Series of Poker off the side of the green, and then before Lee Westwood putts, they stack the money next to him, and they say, if you make this putt, this is what you make. And if he misses it, they just take all of that money back and they put it back on the pile. That's a great idea.
I mean, sometimes that's what it feels like mentally, for sure. You're like, when you look at a position on the leaderboard, it feels like you own that spot. You own the money that's going to be allocated to that spot, and then you miss a putt, and you're like, okay, that pile just got lighter. So,
dude, next to the guy who's holding your names, they should have a guy walking a cart just with stack as like a cash, just like what you're at that point, and then you keep peering over and be like, is that thing getting bigger or smaller right now? Like, are they actively taking money away from my cart right now, or are they putting it on? Because I don't know. I was just in the woods and I couldn't get out.
I like it.
They should have like a separate standard bearer with like poker chips for how much money we would have if we finish here. And then you make a bogey and you see like a couple of stacks come off the
They just flick a chip. Like, they flick a chip to the gallery, like on the side. Someone catches it. It's just like, not his anymore. Go put that on the next hole.
That would be brutal. That would be absolutely brutal.
Oh
man. It's that golf course. What do you think of that golf course? Because as a fan, it delivers, especially on Sunday when you tune in. That golf course just delivers. It looks impossible. There's trouble everywhere. People find the trouble. But as a player, what do you think of the golf course coming down the stretch?
I mean, it's pretty genius. I mean, if you look at the leaderboard, how many different players had a chance to win? You get a guy like JT who's pretty well-rounded in every facet of the game. You got Bryson, who hits it a gazillion miles. You have Matt Fitzpatrick, who hits it on a string, but definitely not quite as far. And then, you have Brian Harmon, who also is like a shorter hitter, and they all have a chance to win. Lee Westwood hits fades, I hit draws. So, like, it doesn't really benefit one guy more than the other. It's really just who has their wits about them. And it kind of just like, it doesn't matter what shot shape, how high or how low you hit it, if you're a good putter or chipper, it's like any insecurity, because everyone has an insecurity in their game for sure. It's like, it dares you on certain holes for sure, and you have to get through it, and you have to kind of basically face your fear and try to commit as much as possible. And then not to mention the money and the tournament itself and how much it means to so many different players. I mean, it's just like, it's as daunting as it gets, I guess. I mean, it's just like a major championship. I can only imagine, playing in contention in a major, that it would feel pretty similar. But yeah, that golf course it just dares you to hit a good shot. It makes you feel uncomfortable. Even the easy holes, like Fore, for example. Like, I couldn't believe after the round seeing where Bryson and Lee Westwood hit it. But then I also understand, it's just a weird tee ball. Like, the fairway that you see is not the fairway that you have to aim at. You almost have to aim at a fairway that you can't see. So you're in there and you're trying to focus so hard on this line. And it makes you do weird things when you can't see the fairway that you're trying to land the ball in. But you see fairway that you're going to hit over and pass into the rough. So you're, like, in there, like, constantly uncomfortable and constantly having to start a ball over trouble. And, like, you know, if you have what it takes, you're gonna put it right down there. And if not, you know, you might buckle.
It does feel like that pretty much the whole day when you're watching, that anybody can, you know, buckle. And it feels like on any hole when they sort of, like, when you get to watch them over and over again, and this is pretty much every day with the coverage, with players especially, because, you know, the course is iconic and the tournament's so big, that, like, watching over and over again and sort of knowing a little bit what to expect and getting to the point where, you know, like, where the misses are and where's going to be a good outcome and where's not going to be a good outcome. As a viewer, it's almost like evil that we're kind of, like, snickering, like, oh, okay, like, we know what's going to happen from there, man. And then watching it actually happen is just fascinating television.
Yeah, and it's funny because you talk about, like, where to miss it. I mean, at TBC Sawgrass, your miss is, like, the right edge of the fairway. That's what you get, or else you're gonna make bogey. So, like, it's like other courses is like you could miss it in the left rough and still have a shot, or you can miss it in this bunker. But a lot of the times at TBC Sawgrass, it's like you're the miss that you can have before it starts to get really dicey is, like, left center of the green to a right flag. So, like, that's how much you can miss, or else you're gonna have to do something amazing to make par. And I mean, JT hit 17 out of 18 greens. The one green he missed was by an inch on 18. So, like, you didn't miss much. So that's kind of how you win championships.
Yeah, I would say it probably is. Honda Classic this week. I don't think you have a ton of history there. What's your mindset? Like, have you shifted to the Honda Classic yet, or have we not gotten there yet?
I mean, I played a lot of junior tournaments at PGA National. We played last year too. I didn't fare very well, but again, was going through some transitions with the golf swing and just mentally. But yeah, I feel good. It's kind of a similar thing to this week where it's a daunting golf course as well. It's difficult. A lot of guys don't like going there because it's so hard. But yeah, it'll be a fun experience if I keep doing what I'm doing now. I mean, after what I experienced pretty tough conditions at Bay Hill, and it kind of propelled me forward to go into Sawgrass. And I can only imagine what the players and Sunday at the Players will do for me going into this week. And I feel like I have every reason to believe that I could be there again on Sunday. And so I'll go back to the drawing board and do what I need to do Monday through Wednesday to get myself back there. But my game is in a good spot, and I'm just excited for the opportunity to possibly be back there again.
Hell yeah. Love that. What's Luke, is Luke still there? What's he cooking up this time? Are you guys superstitious? Do you have to, like, cook different dinners now since, you know, maybe Sunday didn't go as well as you wanted it to?
Yeah, I think the salmon that he cooked on Saturday night was a little chinky. That's probably what it was. But so Micah, my caddy, Luke, and I all stay together at Airbnbs. Micah's like a grill master, so as long as we have a grill, we usually cook some steaks, and he's really good at grilled wings. We do chicken, pork tenderloin, all this stuff, and then Luke is like the sous chef in the back that does all the vegetables. He's roasting everything, and they usually time it together, and I'm, like, just in my room just chilling out, and I get a little knock on my door, like, dinner's ready, and go downstairs. holy shit, we got like ribeyes and like Brussels sprouts and all this stuff. And I'm like, fuck, okay. I don't think anyone's eating as well as us this week. So it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty great.
Hell yeah. I love that. That's a good little squad. That's a good team. All right, Doug, we'll drive safe. We appreciate it as always. Awesome work this last week. I know again, Sunday didn't go how you wanted it to, but that's 3 really, really good rounds. And you're getting, I think you're getting closer and closer and you're young. So that's pretty sweet. And you made $96,000. So that's also pretty, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad for a T29 finish, that's for sure.
All right, Doug. Thanks, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Always love being on the pod. Hope to be back soon.
Hell yeah. Love
Yeah,
that.
man. Anytime. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, Doug.
Doug's gonna hop on Sunday with you guys.
Oh yeah, Doug. What are you? What? Your Xbox or PlayStation or PC?
I'm Xbox, but I'm gonna try to get a PS5 when I get back.
Yeah. So Trent and I and Riggs, we're all on Xbox, and that's like we can do some alternate shot. We can do a little tournament, so that would be fun. Like whatever day is best for you, we could do anytime. So just let us know. And
yeah, absolutely.
So you bring it with you on the road, like you could just play like from the Honda. Like,
yeah, we bring the Xbox every week, so we're down. We would love to play.
All right, so let's try and get that on the schedule. I would love to do some alternate shot. Trent and I are an absolute weapon on the virtual golf course, so that'll be kind of fun. Maybe it'll be Riggs and Doug versus Trent and I in some alternate shot.
I don't want Riggs. He's got the claw.
All right.
Dude,
hey, if you want to get competitive, you grab your own partner though. I know Trent has that buttery cut even in the virtual world. It's crazy. He doesn't miss the fairway and he drains putts. So I've got.
I'm going to work on my game. I'm going to work on my game.
All right. Maybe we'll
Riggs
play
got
some
97 at rim.
Well, now listen, you're gonna have to play Butters Bay, my course, and I am the architect, so I know all the ins and outs of that track, and we're definitely gonna take it down.
I think I might be more nervous to play Butters Bay than I was yesterday. Possibly, we'll see.
Yes.
Unreal, dude. All right, let's get that thing going like ASAP. Yeah, we'll talk offline and we'll get that scheduled. People will love that.
Yep. Yeah, let's do it. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Dougie.
All right,
See you
thanks,
guys.
man.
See you, Luke.
All right, see ya.